I want to thank all the elected officials who are here. Representative Martha Hennessy, good luck in your race for the Senate. Mike Cryans, good luck in your race for county commissioner. Everyone else who's here. And one person who is not here, your great governor, Maggie Hassan. I hope she will be elected to the United States Senate. Now look, you are about to be given a chance to give an American answer to problems that you see sweeping the world. Maybe manifested in America in its crudest, roughest form, but there's a global debate going on. The financial crash in 2008 had a very long tail. And so many people basically are living on what they were living on the last day I was president 15 years ago plus after inflation, and their costs have gone up. Last year was the first year since the crash when most of the income gains went to the bottom 80% of us. And people don't feel that yet. We live in a time of great social upheaval, and most of us like it. The gay rights movement in general moved farther, faster than any other civil rights movement in our history. I think that's a good thing. The fact that we have the youngest, most diverse workforce in the world, I think, is a good thing. It's a meal ticket to the 21st century. But there's a lot of upheaval. They have the largest refugee crisis since World War II in Europe. No place is immune to what I would call episodic terrorism, the things that happen. Then you've got the internal problems, everything from the school shootings to the civilian police conflict, young people of color being afraid to walk outside at night, police officers being afraid to walk the beat. The country is a microcosm of a lot of what is going on in the world. We live in an interdependent world. So, Make America Great Again is a slogan which says, let's go back to economic, social policies and an isolationism that we could have maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago. Stronger together means everywhere we should remember first the lesson of the human genome research. Every single non-age-related difference you can see in this room, including gender, is rooted in 0.5% of your genome. And we spend 99.5% of our time focusing on that 0.5% at our great peril. You represent the 99.5%, and you have to claim your future. Now, yeah, we've got problems, but we've got unlimited promise. I am so tired of hearing the other side tell me how America is going to hell in a handbasket. So let me just review the bidding. Number one, 5 to 10 years from now, President Obama is going to get a lot better marks for the management of this economy than he does today, because we just passed our 79th month of job growth. We have never done that before. When I was president, we had the only period of broadly shared prosperity in 50 years, and the bottom 20%'s income increased in percentage terms more than the top 20%. Even then, we didn't have 79 months of job growth without any interruption. He saved the auto industry. We avoided a depression. They passed the Dodd-Frank law, which keeps Wall Street from breaking Main Street. The health care bill has given 29 million people more, 25 million people more health insurance, and 100% of us are better off because no one can be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. So, but look at our advantages. In addition to the youth and diversity of the workforce, we have the best system of higher education in the world. We just need to make college debt free, and the debt that's already been run up much more much easier to repay. Second, we got the best science and technology base. Third, we rank first or second in the world in every scientific survey in our ability to generate electricity from the sun, the wind, and other clean sources. Fourth, we, at least so far, have the rule of law, and most people honor contracts and actually pay people they promise to pay. And so what this job of this election is to make your lives have broader horizons. Basically, to maximize the promise of America and the world in the 21st century, and to minimize the perils, and to tackle the problems, not to deny them, but not to pretend that they outweigh the promise of our future. So I agree. One of the things Colin said that I really agree with is that Stronger Together is not a campaign slogan. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of acting. It's a way of treating other people. It's a way of approaching the future. And one of the things that this election is about four things, really. One is people are angry, so what? What's better, anger or answers? We are divided, so what's best, cooperation or endless conflict? The angriest people are people, according to all the surveys, in the white working class in small towns and rural areas and other places where we feel left out, left behind, and unnoticed. There is some truth to that. So there are 2 counties in West Virginia where the number one source of white male employment is a disability check. This is the only drug epidemic, this prescription drug and heroin epidemic, where the addiction rates in small towns in rural America are even higher than they are in urban America. The life expectancy of that group is going down, the only part of America where that is true. And it's the America I grew up in. So I guess I've got a big dog in this hunt. I don't like Make America Great Again because I know what it means. It means vote for me and I'll give you the economy you had 50 years ago and I'll move you back up on the social totem pole. It is exactly the wrong message for you. Why? First of all, I turned 70 this year. So Make America Great Again is, oh wait. It's like me saying I'd like to be 20 again. Actually, I would. Because I'd like to see what's going to happen. It's exciting. Most of the people who work with me in our foundation are, 30 or younger. And it's exciting. So I'd like it, but I would not vote for anyone who promised to make me 20 again. And in terms of the social totem pole, I was there. It was lousy for African Americans. It was lousy for Latinos, who were then our largest immigrant population. It wasn't so great for other immigrants. Gay people were stuck in a closet somewhere. Women got nowhere near as many opportunities in the workforce as today. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to recognize the genuine hurt other people feel and tear down the totem pole. We don't need a totem pole in America with ranking. We need to all go forward together. And we need to tell that to people who oppose immigration reform. We do need immigration reform. It's pro-family, it's pro-work, it's good for the economy, and economics is not about subtraction, it's about addition. Everybody knows that.